because we understand that this is the only opportunity in most cases where you get to take advantage of the fact that in our society, the individuals that teach you about personal finance and personal financial products happen to be the same individuals that sell you the product. So this is an opportunity for you to always be able to ask any questions you have on trading, personal finance, or economics. So with that in mind, let me jump right in because I just feel there's an energy of acquisition of knowledge in the room. So questions, comments, testimonies from any of these fine rectangles on this Zoom call. Questions, comments, testimonies. Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to spend a little bit more time talking about tonight's subject, which of course is Robinhood, liquidity, the market, why this is an issue, why we're in such a good position. So I think that what Ms. Dyer and Mr. Rogers have said tonight has been phenomenal, but how about we just take the next 25 minutes to go a little bit deeper and understand the way this process works. Now, before I begin to explain my take on what's going on, let me give you my take on something that I feel is even more important. Now, I earned my PhD in finance and economics when I was 26. 2 years before that, I taught my first college class. So that's 28 years of being in a classroom teaching individuals some type of finance or economics. And there was a particular energy that I used to feel when I was talking about an important subject in finance and economics. The energy I felt was these individuals have to learn this. This can bless their life. This can put them in a better position financially. And I would sometimes even get a little frustrated because someone's not paying attention, someone falls asleep, someone's doing other work in class. So I knew how important it was, but the audience member may not have known it. So this was an energy that I walked in for years. But oh, do I love teaching finance and economics to this group. Because as I'm sharing with you the background, as I'm making you understand the why behind the what, as I'm walking into bipartisan, if you know what you're doing, you always have a job. And if you know why you're doing it, excuse me, you'll always be the boss. I have this great relaxed shoulders energy of knowing after I finish explaining it to you, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to know this because you have a vehicle that allows you to get to your wealth and abundance goals. Knowing it is valuable. Knowing it helps you to understand the context in which this financial market that we are studying. Knowing it is important because think about it. 80% of you, and when I say you, I'm talking about everybody in the BYOB movement, past, present, and future. 80% of you have had no formal finance or economics training. That's one of the reasons why we created this call. So it is such a wonderful feeling to be able to have a conversation like the one we're about to have, but then know at the end of the conversation, it don't really matter. Broken English on purpose. It don't really matter because you have this skill set. And that is why we came up with this term, economically unbothered. We're listening, but we're not bothered. Had a conversation with a friend earlier today, and I simply asked a question. And the person said, well, you don't have to be concerned with that. I stopped her. I said, hold up. Did you forget who you're talking to? I don't do concern. There's never anything to be concerned about. You simply gather the information that you want. You allow life to unfold, walking in your power, doing what you have to do, controlling the things you can control, having the right mindset, and everything works out. So having said that, with calmness of spirit on both of our sides, let's talk a little bit about this whole Robinhood thing. Now, first of all, let's talk about the story behind the story behind the story. You all have seen the pictures, or maybe you even visited in New York, the stock exchange. That is a physical place where you see the images of people walking around all crazy. Now, let's talk about what those people are doing. They are filling orders. So some of them are buying a security. Some of them are selling a security. And what they're doing, hear me, they're running around that room looking for one another. It's almost like financial market speed dating. I've got to buy, you got to sell. Let's get together and let's make this happen. Now think about it. The person that invests in that financial security sees none of that. All you do is press buy. And now that process, just like that, has to take place where that buyer, that buy now has to be aligned with the sell. Now, this can be described as market making, but I'm explaining it to you on an individual microeconomic scenario. Whereas in reality, this is happening on a global perspective. Now, back to the New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange is a physical place. And the only securities in which those buyers and sellers are running around trying to find each other is for those securities that happen to have paid the $2 million to be a member of the New York Stock Exchange. So if you're on American Stock Exchange, I'm not dealing with you. If you're on any other exchange, a local or regional exchange, I'm not dealing with you. Those images we see are only for those securities that are in that physical place. Now, I said the $2 million on purpose. For more details on this, we have a talk with the finance doctor that talks about the NASDAQ, explanation of the NASDAQ and how it came to be. For now, I'm just going to say this. In the 80s, many technology firms felt that they were not interested in paying the $2 million. I'm a technology firm, I'm a .com. I'm all about the research and development. So I need my $2 million for testing. I need my $2 million to purchase infrastructure. So rather than become a member of the New York Stock Exchange, I'm simply going to not be on an exchange. Let me say it again. I'm going to not be on an exchange. When you're not on an exchange, okay, let me give you some history behind the history, behind the history, behind the history. Before 1933, before the Great Depression and the Glass-Steagall Act, which formalized two entities, financial institutions were either commercial banks or investment banks, split them apart in 1933. Before that, all financial transactions happened at the bank. So if you wanted to buy a stock, you would walk up to the bank, you would give them your money, and they would give you the stock certificate back to you over the counter. So OTC, or over the counter, became that group of securities that were traded outside of that physical place called the New York Stock Exchange. But the reason why I'm bringing up technology firms is simply because so many technology firms decide they want to play the $2 million New York Stock Exchange that it started out as OTC, or over the counter markets. But now, so many of those firms are technology firms that they now are covered by NASDAQ. But wait, I thought NASDAQ was an index. It is, but it's also a place where you can go to get over-the-counter trades, meaning trades that are not on a physical exchange for those mainly technology companies. So what I'm really saying to you is this. Anytime a transaction takes place in the financial market that is not on New York Stock Exchange, that is over the counter, there are individuals behind the scenes that you do not see that fill those orders, and they're called securities dealers. Securities dealers. In fact, the NASDAQ has securities dealers in the acronym. The S and the D in NASDAQ stands for securities dealers. So securities dealers are just individuals that are responsible for a certain set of financial securities. Let me be more specific. Let's say my job is being a securities dealer. Then maybe I'm responsible for 40 stocks. So all day, anytime there's a buy order for one of my 40 stocks, I sell it. Anytime there's a sell order for a particular stock, I buy it. Now think about what I just said. If I'm the securities dealers, doesn't that mean that I'm making the market maker? Y'all hear Ms. Dyer say that all the time. And you knew what she was talking about. Now you know why she's talking about it. Market maker, market maker. The securities dealers in aggregate, in total, are all of the securities dealers behind the scenes that are providing sales for buyers and providing buys for sellers. Those are the ones who make the market. Now, let me go back a little bit further. When I was aggressive and active in financial planning, meaning that I was trying to teach people I was financially planning clients. Back in the day when I did that, I would be aggressive about trying to find them the most cost-conscious ways of doing anything financial. And at that time, and I'm talking about 80s, 90s, early 90s, if you invested in a stock, you would have to find a broker. And most brokers that handle stock transactions charge $50 a trade. $50 a trade. Think about that for a second. I'm buying a share of stock or 50 shares of stock or 40 shares of stock, and I have to pay $50 every time I do it. So when I buy it, $50. Then I sell it, $50. Now, over time, those prices got a little bit higher. And the only reason why I'm using the 50 is because I don't necessarily play in that market anymore, because to me, there's no need of paying for something that I can get somewhere else for free. So the prices went up 75. I believe at one time, a TD Ameritrade was like $100 per trade. So then something happened that we experience over and over and over, and that's called competition. What happens to the price of gas at 4 gas stations that are on each corner? In other words, let me look at the price of gas at a gas station that's out in the country by itself versus the price of those 4 separate gas stations that are on one of 4 corners. The price goes down. Why does the price go down? Competition. So step in online brokerages. Online brokerages decided to find a way to get more customers by allowing a lesser price per trade. Now, the catch was that to offer this lower price, we're going to give you less service. My God, do I have the perfect example. So I decided I wanted to make I like to make little hot sauce, healthy sauces that I can dip my little Brussels sprouts in. Yeah, I'm a vegetable nerd, but I'm trying to keep it tight. 54 is the new 24. So I went to Walmart to see if I could find something. And I wasn't sure where to go because I've never purchased any little small items like that. And I sat for 10 minutes trying to find somebody that could help me. So guess what I did? I got in my vehicle and I drove to Target, because I knew at Target I was going to pay more, but there's always somebody with a red shirt ready to help a brother out. Yes, excuse me, this is what I'm looking for. Oh, let me help you with that. In fact, let me bring my colleague over here. We're going to both walk you down to aisle 17.9 and we're going to help you out. So Target charges more, but they give you a higher level of service. Can I get an LOA on that? Thank you, LOL. Come on, funny. So Target charges more, but they give you a higher level of service. So that's what happened in the brokerage industry. In the brokerage industry, they started allowing you the opportunity to be able to get lower prices, but with less service. They Walmartized the financial industry. So now add to that the fact that millennials are making more and more money. Millennials are finding more and more ways to create entrepreneurial experiences. So, oh my God. Robinhood decided to create an app to capture the mindset of millennials. Millennials don't want to sit at a computer and download. I told my 15 and 17-year-old daughter the other day to look at something on the computer. And you know what they did? They rolled their little eyes at me and pulled out their device. They don't do stuff on the computer. They do everything on their little cell phone because their eyes is good. So Robinhood decided to offer an app that would allow people to trade with zero commission. So we went from 50 to 100 to zero. Now, watch this, because this part I think is important. And this really wasn't addressed in the news today about this topic. So when Robinhood made the decision to go with zero commission, other online brokerages, stop, I just felt something. I want to make sure that we understand the difference between the brokerage function, which is you providing a platform where I can trade. You know what a broker is, you're doing it every day. But I wanted to make a distinction between the brokerage function, where I'm providing a platform where you can trade, versus the securities dealers, which are the individuals that make sure that the market gets made. Two different entities. That's important for my next point. So Robinhood comes to the scene and they decide that they're going to do zero commission. But other online brokerages had to follow suit. They had to lower their prices because how can we compete with that? That's good for the market because it lowered the price of us being able to financially transact. But it also created a couple of scenarios, a couple of variables, because what ended up happening is some of those online brokers were already in target mode. They already had their red shirts on. They already provided a level of service or a level of tools or a level of research. So now you have these online brokerages that are charging the same amount as Robinhood, but providing more service. Now, I think it's important to really break this statement down, this situation down. I'm very confident I can do this in the next 7 minutes, to talk about how they make money. How does Robinhood make money? And by the way, I found over the last 30 years of being exposed to this finance and economic life, that is one of the most important questions you could ever ask. How do you make money? How are you compensated? Because it gives you power. Remember, a talk with the finance doctor is about putting you in a position of strength. So after you make all of this money trading, you're able to manage better. So it's always important to ask that question. How are you compensated? Because then you know what you're dealing with. You understand you cannot break down the incentivization of what's being said to you. So this is how Robinhood gets paid. The first thing that they do is recognize this. Many of the individuals that come on my app are going to want more. It's going to be good to them. They're going to want a higher level of service. They're going to want to go up from Walmart to Target. So they offer a gold level. And people pay monthly for that. But what about those people that stay free? Now, one of the things that the Robinhood app does is this. They are connected with market makers. They're connected with securities dealers. Because once you put your trade on Robinhood, that trade has to be executed just like the image I gave you in the beginning. So Robinhood has relationships with securities dealers, and the securities dealers pay them for sending investors their way. So look, I'm going to put you in my relationship. I'm going to put you in my relationship. And every time they want this stock, I'm going to send it to you. And every time they want this stock, I'm going to send it to you. And then they get a kickback from the securities dealers. And that is a huge method of profit. In fact, it's half of their profit. Now, Sounds good. Nothing illegal about that. We're good. But what ended up happening was this. The relationships that Robinhood had with these securities dealers was based on a certain level of volume. Now, let me add another variable. Financial institutions, and a brokerage is a financial institutions, have certain government mandates that they have to meet. I'll give you a quick one using banks, which is easy to understand, not quite as convoluted as financial markets. So a bank may have $100,000 in money to loan out, but they have a $20,000 capital requirement. So that means for every $100,000 they have, they got to keep $20,000 in the vault, and they can only loan out $80,000. That is called a capital standard or a capital requirement. Where brokerages also have capital requirements that are a lot more complex, but are in the same line. They also have margin requirements in terms of how much margin they can offer. So literally what happened with GameStop was this. The amount of buy and sell orders necessary to be able to maintain that was hit by the two variables I just gave you. Number one, the fact that I don't have enough relationships with enough security dealers to be able to handle this volume. Number two, if I continue to operate in the way in which I operate on this app and do so with the intense volume that's going on with GameStop, is going to keep me outside of my government mandated measures. What do they say in the hood? Don't gamble with the rent money. So they would have been gambling with the rent money if they allowed themselves to keep that volume up. So that's why they stopped the trading. Am I saying it was the right thing to do? No. Am I saying this is the right system to have? No. All I'm doing is non-judgmentally explaining this to you because, again, after I finish this explanation, we don't care. All we care about is by Ms. Dyer breaking down the GameStop chart, and we now knowing that we can get to GameStop with our vibrator, and we're going to check with our broker to make sure that GameStop is available. All we got to do now is just watch the news on GameStop and ride the wave. So valuable conversation, valuable insight, valuable understanding, but we don't care. Questions, comments, testimonies about Robinhood and the things that happen today. I'm going to call you out, Ms. Clayton, only because of our prior conversation. Are you good? Does that put you in a position of understanding how this works?
Hey, Dr. B, good evening. Oh, yes, it does. It does. From you, from Miss Dyer, Mr. Rogers, it definitely, puts everything in perspective. So thank you so much.
Excellent. You are very welcome. We always take care of you because, you your son's mama. All right. Questions, comments, testimonies on anybody?
Doctor, I'm amazed.
Yes.
It's collective consciousness. And I had a prospective partner today, and this is what she was asking me, all these questions that I had no answers for, but I knew that the answers were coming. So here again tonight, we take another step up on another rung of the glory ladder. I am so grateful for your wisdom and for your willingness to share with us the wisdom that you have. And I cannot tell enough people that here we are and we receive this for free after you invested so much in order to get this information and you just pour it out so freely. I thank God for you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Brownlee. I really sincerely appreciate that. Those are the kind of words that can assist someone in a situation where they need to hear it. So thank you. Your words always have power for me. And I thank you again. Questions, comments, testimonies for the finance doctor? Okay, thank you very much for your attention. And I will now turn this call back over to whichever one of my business partners would like to speak.
I just want to say, Robin who? Robin what? No, we don't need any one of those. So I'm excited. Educated trader is a profitable trader.
Yes.
You guys just got the backstory tonight. Patience, patience, profit. Spread the word. This is why this is so important. This is why the blinders have to be removed. This is why you have to empower yourself and everyone around you. This is why this is so important. We've been told one thing our entire lives, and as you saw clearly today with a real life example, that is not the real world, and that is not what happens. How we do it is we're not anti-bank, we're not anti the market, we are definitely for it. It's just all about the perspective and the position you approach it from. And so the blinders are removed and we are literally our own bank. And that's what this is all about. You are the big bank. All right, Dr. B.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What a wonderful way to cap this conversation off. So Thursday nights are always the time when we think about how much we're going to develop our skill set, continue our education so that when we come together on Monday morning at 5 a.m., we'll be ready to continue to rise and elevate. So last Tuesday, I was praying and the Zoom ended while I was praying. So I was a little mad at Satan. So now I'm going to know that Jesus is going to protect this prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you right now. And we thank you for this opportunity to grow as a collective, to grow as traders, to grow in our knowledge base. We thank you. Heavenly Father, please allow each one of these rectangles to be blessed in every way. We are thankful, we are appreciative, and we are grateful. Amen. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday morning.